Ramble.
Well, it's another day in beautiful America. Here we are. It's the TryPod with your favorite Try Guys. You got everybody slowly getting his beard back favorite Ned.
Hoy hoy.
A cute little Pokemon boy with a Pikachu look today, Eugene.
Pikachu.
Yeah. We
Eugene,
got no
you look
Zach.
very Tour de France.
You do. It's a very tight-fitting Pikachu shirt.
It's like the winner's jersey.
I think
you got the target on your back.
Ned, didn't you buy this for me as a present?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, got the right size. Size gay.
Also, Miles is here.
Hey.
We're talking about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about some alternate careers, maybe some disasters we've had, maybe some other stuff. But first, how's just a check-in? It's just about a chill check-in. We'll check in with our little chickens.
We should point out that our littlest chicken, Zach, can't make today's podcast.
He's flown the coop. He's out pecking on the ground.
Yeah, it is funny. Like having days off when everything is the same. It's like it's different. It's funny. I guess the weekends you just do more fun things than working. And if you're taking a day off during the week,
but weekends is they kind of run into the week. Like I try to still wake up at the same time on the weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know. I got the same routine, making coffee in the morning, but they're
right. Like same for me also, but because I have a baby. For the first time this Sunday night, I was like, man, that was a really fun weekend. I think I would be cool having a 3-day weekend. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready to go back to work. And then I was like, what are you talking about? Everything's the same.
So I've been like getting takeout on weekends. That's been my sort of I want to support the restaurants in my neighborhood so they stay afloat. And also I hate doing dishes. And there's so many dishes nowadays because you feel like, well, I got nothing to do. I'll bake something. And that's just a dish disaster. But we had leftover chili and some coleslaw. And we made the coleslaw better by adding some really good Dijon mustard. And I took the chili and I made pupusas out of it. Ooh. Now, they were not beautiful. I was very bad at getting the chili hidden within the pupusa. I have no idea how people make pupusas. It seems like the most impossible. It seems magic. I could not get it to not have the chili bursting out, but it still tasted good. But it was a fun, inventive way.
They're just like little like breaded kind of packets of.
It's a tortilla.
Good stuff.
Basically, it's a stuffed tortilla. So you make a tortilla. You make the dough for a tortilla, and then you pat it down, and then you put the food in it, and then you're supposed to wrap it up, and then in a way, somehow you can pat it down again, so that it looks like it's just a normal like fat tortilla that secretly holds food within. And I watched so many videos online, and I could not get it. There's something about their beautiful Salvadorian
Hispanic
hams.
cannolis.
It's like a hot pocket.
Kind of. It's basically like a quesadilla if you made a quesadilla with only one tortilla and it was fat and bready and delicious.
Cool.
But it normally comes with like a slaw on top. They make like this cool like vinegary cabbage slaw, but we didn't have that. So this is kind of like a American barbecue pupusa because they were chili pupusas with a like Dijon mustard slaw, and they were actually very good.
You know, we've been doing very similar things. We've been supporting local restaurants, but anytime we go and order a takeout, we'll also order from their pantry. So many restaurants are offering up their pantry, and the portions can be kind of deceiving. So we ordered like the side of chips from the pantry, and then we get like this 4-gallon giant thing of chips. Then we ordered the side of guac from the pantry, and it's like a whole 2 pints of guac.
Where are you getting this?
This is from Home State, my favorite breakfast taco place.
It's good.
You got to go pick it up. There's no delivery,
Guys,
of course.
now that I'm back in the egg world, I get to have breakfast tacos and breakfast burritos again, and I'm excited for Home State because that's one I've been missing out on forever.
Bonjour to you, sir.
I'm very excited.
Well, speaking of tacos,
yeah.
a certain song that Keith originated on the TryPod about y'all's people's taco night. Might be a new TikTok trend. Can you speak on that, Keith?
Yeah.
I like how you said y'all's peoples.
Y'all's
really
people.
makes me feel seen.
Well, yeah, this is our people appreciating our culture. We a long time ago, I don't remember what the spur of this was.
Before the TryPod even launched for our Patreon listeners.
Really?
They heard it first.
Super old, and I sang the song called White People Taco Night. I think it was about, and it was just a very cute, 4-bar song, very simple, and it has blown up on TikTok. And by blown up, I mean it's like one of the trending options. It's doing pretty well. The original one that was posted like last week, before it was even as trending as popular now, it had like over 1 million little Tic Tacs.
Wow, that's really good.
And there's lots of people that have been doing it, and I've seen it all over the place. People are tagging me every day on Twitter being like, Keith, your taco song. So the secret's out. I am working on a full-length white people taco night song because that's how the world works now. You get your song viral on TikTok, then you have enough money to produce a music video for it and put it on YouTube and it trends. I mean, Drake just did it. Isn't that his new song? People are calling it out as just being fishing for a TikTok hit because it's like a dance. It's like a step to the right and slide to the left kind of thing. Basically, he wrote like a Mambo No. 5 type dance song for the purpose of it being popular on TikTok, so that it would definitely chart.
You guys know that there's a lot of other lyrics to Mambo, like to Cha-Cha Slide, that there's like alternative lyrics that are a whole song, and you can sing it at a karaoke bar.
I guess you're right. I meant Cha-Cha Slide, not Mama No. 5. However, I do love Mama No. 5. It's one of my favorite songs.
Mama No. 5 could also be a TikTok trend, but in a different way.
Actually, that would be a great TikTok song. It's just going through like all of like
different types of
friends.
Outfits for the different
that's
girls.
good.
Well, Keith, because of the massive success of White People Taco Night, do you care to give the people another sample that they can use right now for their TikToks?
Yeah. Ooh,
hold on,
Keith, let's create a TikTok hit.
Oh, but hold on, I have some lyrics.
Yeah, pull them out.
Wait, Ned, so I was going crazy trying to remember this because I swore that we had talked about White People Taco Night way before Keith sang that intro. Was that in one of the Patreon exclusive like podcasts before we published the podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because I remember y'all kept
we had
talking
a whole
about
episode devoted to White People Taco Night. You know, the kind of not too spicy, lots of cheddar cheese, lettuce, and tomato type of crunchy El Paso straight from the box taco night
that's what I
white
remember now.
people know and love.
Yeah.
Because y'all kept talking about it, and I was like, is this something that white people do? And you guys were like, yes, this is a night we specifically have for tacos.
Yeah, it's taco night.
Here's a snack tip that I've been doing. Take a tortilla and
Miles,
heat it.
save it for the advice section.
No, this is Ned. This is the Bonsignore snack tip of the week.
Oh, okay.
But it's I've been, as a snack, taking a tortilla and putting a little olive oil on a pan and just heating it up both sides.
Whoa. Wait, so you're taking something that's already fried, and then you're double frying it.
Hell yeah. So
I like the way you think, sir.
But it kind of gives it just a little, like, I also have this kind of garlic, I don't know if it's even
you
called.
get a taste of Italy.
Yeah, you get a taste of Italy with a tortilla from France. But yeah, you just kind of make it into a little chip.
It's already a chip,
I made my own tortillas, I made my own fried fish, and then I took the extra tortillas and I made tortilla chips. But actually, and then I did it all from
Keith
scratch.
is doing is the story you should have said.
Yeah. Well,
I did see that, Keith. Actually, that was pretty neat. How did you make tortillas from scratch? You fried them in a pan.
Tortillas are very, very simple. You need a certain type of flour, though, called masa harina, and it is a corn flour that's been treated with lime or something. But it basically gives it, like, as soon as you smell the flour, you're like, oh, that's corn tortilla smell. That's just what corn tortillas smell like. And it just almost equal parts the flour and the water. You just work it a little bit, let it rest for like 5 minutes. It doesn't grow or anything. It just sort of sticks to itself better. You flatten it with a tortilla press or a rolling pin. And then no oil at all in the pan. You just throw it on a super fucking hot pan for about a minute on each side. And then that's it. That's all you do. That's tortillas. Very, very simple. And then you can put them to the side. And then you take all your ugly ones, or the ones that you think might be a little undercooked or a little like not as good. You just cut those up and then you fry them as chips. And we fried the fish. So that after the fish was done, I had all this fry oil. So I just cooked the chips in that fry oil. Worked out great. And the thing about frying food is if it's your first time like using that oil to fry, you can just take that oil and put it right back into a jar after it's cooled down, and you can fry with it again. You can fry with the same oil like 5 or 6 times.
So while we're on the subject of food, let me tell you about a personal food disaster that happened to me recently.
Yeah, girl.
You know, there's a lot of disasters out in the world, but we're going to share some like funnier ones. You guys know that I like baking bread. Well, since we've been quarantined, I've been on a journey to restart a sourdough starter. I'm creating a whole new sourdough starter from scratch. Previously, I've been doing a lot of yeasted breads just with the store-bought yeast because, you know, it's easy. When we went on tour, my starter died, and I haven't really fully brought it back. So I've had some struggles. It hasn't worked out perfectly the first time, which has been, as a experienced bread baker, that's been frustrating. One thing I tried to get the sourdough to rise better was you can put your dough in the oven as like, you know, a special proofing drawer, right? They do this on Great British Bake Off all the time. Actually, I think they have real proofing drawers, but you can put your dough in the oven, and it's a controlled environment. You know, say your house is a little chilly, that's going to slow things down, so you got to put it in the oven, but you don't turn the oven on. You just keep it there, and it kind of like, maybe it's like a little hot from something you baked that morning, and it'll slowly rise. We had a little bit of a miscommunication because Ariel didn't know that I had done this.
Oh boy.
And started preheating the oven to make veggies. When she goes to put the veggies in, she opens up and is like, what the fuck is this doing here? The bread in the bowl had slowly been preheating and like half cooking to the point where it was like sort of like half cooked around the outside, and then it had a like kind of a domed middle that was still dough, but it was now all kind of gooey, and it had risen, but it also sort of was like, it was this weird like half cooked thing. And I tried to save it by scooping it up, and I was going to reshape it, but the stuff on the outside was so crusty that what ended up happening was a disaster. I had this like whole metal bowl with crusty bread on the outside, and then a divot, like almost like a central donut-shaped hole with just like gooey, completely ruined dough in the middle, and then whatever I could salvage was just like falling through my hands because it had risen past the point of being good. It was just kind of dripping now, and ruined my bowl, ruined my heart.
Like a bread pot pie.
Yeah,
I made a bread pot pie, yeah.
I tell you, if you've ever accidentally turned on your oven not knowing that there was something in there, you know, it's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
The one disaster I remember, and it's probably the only time as a kid I remember there being like a disaster in my kitchen, because my parents, like, they weren't the greatest chefs in the world, but they didn't burn stuff. The food was fine. It just wasn't like I wasn't like, whoa, I'm a 5-star cuisine. It was good. But we once had gotten Pizza Hut the night before, and for whatever reason, we decided to store the leftover Pizza Hut in the oven in its cardboard box. I don't know if one of my brothers or I did this. It's clearly a stupid idea. But the next day, my dad turns on the oven to preheat it to make something for lunch. And then suddenly there's fire in the oven. It's on fire. So our reaction is like, what do we do? So somebody grabs the pizza box out on the one corner that's not on fire yet and runs outside, which luckily our kitchen was right by the door, to throw it outside. But at this time, you must remember, I grew up with like 20 cats. So runs outside with a box that is just soaring with flames. And then there's cats. The cats are terrified. So the cats sprint in every direction as the box is tossed onto the ground. And then someone else comes and just pours a gallon of water onto it. And it is just smoldering, sticky pizza. And then, of course, as soon as the fire's out, the cats come back because it smells like pizza. So the cats are trying to eat the charred, soaked pizza as we're trying to make sure that like it's stomped out. It is chaos and fun.
Did it set off a smoke alarm?
No.
Really?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember that being
We had
an issue.
the most like sensitive smoke alarm growing up. Like you would get something even a little bit smoky or a little bit burnt, and it would just set off the smoke alarm.
Yeah.
It made me think like, hopefully when something's actually on fire, we actually have a smoke alarm. Like, it's not the boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah. I had a thing where one time I was upstairs playing video games and my dad was out in the garden and the smoke alarm started going off. So I went downstairs and as soon as I like broke the threshold of where the stairs meets the first floor, it was very clear that there was like 2 or 3 feet of smoke on the ceiling of the around the whole first floor of the house because he had put, you know, like sometimes when you're trying to dry off a cast iron pan, a good way to do it is to put it on the stove and to turn it on. Right. But there was apparently a little bit of grease or something, and so a grease fire had caught on the cast iron pan. So I ran into the kitchen, and there's like flames coming off the grease fire. And smoke everywhere. Like I had to like put my thing up for the smoke. And so I thankfully I was like old enough that I kind of had an idea that a grease fire doesn't go out if you like
don't put water on it.
Right. So because if you put water on it, it explodes and goes everywhere. So I thankfully had enough wherewithal to just kind of like I blew it out. I just went like and it like went out and I turned off the stove and stuff like that. And then I was like went on the porch like panting and sweating. And my dad was just like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like,
oh my God, he had no idea.
What happened in there?
Oh, wow. You saved the day.
I saved the
day. You know what
day.
you're supposed to do with grease fires is pour salt on it.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
It. My mom would always keep like a big, giant thing of salt right on the stove just in case. And I thought it was kind of silly at the time, but now hearing your story, I'm like, well, that's why she did it.
Yeah, you want to suffocate grease fires, so because they still need oxygen. They like the grease is also a fuel, but it still needs.
But
air.
You can't like put like a dish towel on it because that's flammable. If you don't suffocate it all the way, you're gonna add more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I think everyone went through a pyro phase when they were young.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh yeah.
Ended up being a tween. I used to like to lay floss down and hairspray it, and then light one end, and it would Mission Impossible across a room.
Wait, across a room or outside?
Yeah.
Outside. Wink, wink, wink.
It's fine. It depends on what your floors are, but like it's probably fine. Don't take that as
Did you ever do hairspray flamethrower?
The hair, yeah. That was that's like the reason I was a Boy Scout was on Scouts they make you bring 2 things on camping trips. 1, bug spray. 2, matches. Or
those make fun.
Those 2 things make flamethrowers.
Although they're very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
You should not do them.
You should not do it. If you're
if somehow you do them and you survive, it's a fun memory.
The danger comes from sometimes
you shouldn't do it.
The danger comes from if you do the wrong angle, it'll go back in the can and explode, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it can.
Remember the
and
first
sometimes
time
you can see it. If you're spraying it, the flame will kind of slowly creep back towards the can. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's why like you see news stories about people that blow their hands off with fireworks and stuff because it's all a little dangerous.
I've got a story.
Eugene.
This is not gross. Well, depends on what you define gross as. I remember the first time I got in real big trouble with my parents was in preschool. I was puberty did not treat me well, but before puberty, I was a precocious little, rambunctious little, funny little guy, shy, but funny, lots of personality. And I loved playtime in preschool where you get to, play with the toys for like 30 minutes, but then you need to go back to whatever the fuck, you got to do for your studies.
Right.
So after playtime, the teacher would put the toys away, and then she would always go straight into story time, where you have to sit and listen. And I always hated that because I was like, no, I was playing with my blocks. So I got it in my head because I didn't know where she stored the toys, and she was a very large woman who wore very big muumuu dresses, and I was convinced that she stored the toys under her dress. I was like, because I'm a child, I was like, of course she does. She's like Lady Santa Claus.
That's where she keeps the goods.
I just like started devising this mission where I was like, I'm going to liberate these toys. So one story time, when she's putting the toys away, I like hide behind her desk and she sits everyone down and she starts reading and I crawl from underneath her chair and I reach up from beneath her. She says I grabbed her boobies. I thought I don't know where my hands were going, but I grabbed and went, "Give me my toys."
Oh my God.
Yeah. And my parents were called to the school and I got in real big trouble. But I was just like, I just remember my mom, she tells me the story and she said in the like administrator's office, I was so adamant that the toys were hidden under her dress. And then my mom kept saying like, no, it's because she's like a larger lady. So I was just so confused about what I grabbed. Like I thought I grabbed something like stuffed animals. It was a very funny time for children.
How old were you? Is this
I think I was like four or five.
If it was preschool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny.
Preschool's 3 and 4.
Yeah.
The toys were not there.
Wow. I definitely never did that. I loved preschool. Preschool was dope because all I remember in preschool was that it was at my church. That was where our preschool was. We had a dope area with like lots of good playground equipment, which was super fun. And then our snack was always cookies and like fake juice, like punch, like the milk cartons of red sugar water. It was always cookies and punch every day. And so like, I know that I'm going to go outside. Someone's going to give me cookies and punch, and then they're going to let me play for an hour. It's basically the child equivalent of getting super lit, right? You're just like, woo, woo. It's a race for the best. Did you guys have like the best big wheel or the best like automobile type thing as like a super little child at a communal like play area? Ours was
there's
John
always
Green
the
tractor.
thing, like the best part of the playground that you want to be at.
Did y'all play house a lot?
Yeah.
You know how it's weird? Like I always find it weird when I see little kids carrying like little baby dolls.
Yeah.
I just find it so bizarre, but I understand it's like part of how we think as humans. I always volunteered to play the dog. You know how there's always like a wife and a husband and like you're the kids and I'd always be
the dog.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I was usually assigned the dog, but I thought it was still cool to be the dog.
I love in student productions of shows when like somebody has to play the dog, like in a Peter Pan middle school production. Someone's always like the dog, and like it's a real big to do in a show, and it's the main comedy of the show because nobody's funny yet.
It's always Peter Pan. What's the dog's name?
Oh God,
I believe it's Andy.
He or she, I think it's a girl, Nana or something, right?
Oh, Nana, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm
and
thinking
where's
of
the
Sandy from Annie.
Yeah, that's definitely a weird, like, we always have to cast a human to play this dog.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they don't do that with Toto. Toto's a dog. They bring a dog
Toto's
on
a dog.
for Toto.
Yeah.
I've seen some productions use the real dog for Peter Pan, but it's rare because it's a big old shaggy dog.
Oh yeah. That's a
You know,
big.
those are probably the same productions that have wires where Peter Pan actually flies.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
motherfuckers. when I was a senior at Neuqua Valley High School, now this is right after I'd left Tennessee, and my first year at Neuqua Valley was when I was a senior. We did Wizard of Oz complete with a fly system.
Whoa.
And it was crazy because it was also not the musical
Your
Wizard of
theater
Oz.
could handle that?
Yes, our theater. So Neuqua Valley is a public school, but it's in one of the wealthiest like suburbs of Chicago. So
Holy
it was
moly.
a super well funded public school, and also a public school that like the school board just really loved the arts. So that was like a very lucky experience for me because they had a full fly system. They hired like a Chicago fly company to come in and fully rig it, and like several people flew. Like they had like 4 dancers that did like a jitterbug flight. Because we didn't do the musical, we did the play, which is weird because there's 2 different ones. But all the witches flew. Dorothy obviously flew. People were fucking flying. We had this is the shit. Get this. Oh, everybody, the listeners, buckle up. We put their house, the beginning house, on casters. Mm-hmm. So when the tornado happened, people spanned the house on stage, and it rotated and went all the way across the stage until it landed. And in that time, they got to put legs. Someone slid legs under it just as it landed. Oh. It was like, it must have been like a $70,000 production.
That is crazy.
It was crazy. And they helped fund it by, they had like a little summer theater program for kids, and all the kids in the summer theater program would play the Munchkins in the high school production. So they had like, that's how they got all this, how they afforded it, because it was like so crazy. But also there were like 20 different kids for each night of the production that had to be quickly like briefed on what their job was. So there was also like always a kid just wandering around, which made for real fun.
Yeah.
But we had a real dog that was also replaced with a stuffed dog at some pivotal points. But yeah, it was fucking nuts, and I was a scarecrow, and it was dope. And
you'd be such a good scarecrow.
Yeah.
I was perfect scarecrow. I was just falling down constantly, just always pratfalling, just constant falling down. So fun.
Keith, people are clamoring for the Try Guys Try musical theater after our improvised musical in the crocheting video.
Yeah. Shout out to Huey Stonefish for an amazing scoring of that.
Yeah,
It was
totally
so
made
good.
it came alive. So if you haven't seen it, we just did a Try Guys Try crocheting video, and it was, I don't know, Keith and I were getting a little stir crazy, just crocheting all day, and we started making up this like World War I era
Letters from
love
War.
story musical about
It was about just us, about how we're in love and we miss each other, basically. YB had edited it, and she did a really good job, like pseudo scoring it with the tracks that we can use from our libraries. And I was like, you know what? I think I could get this to Huey and he could score it in a couple days. And he could, and he did. We did a couple notes passes on it, but he crushed it. And it just really makes it feel real because it's scored to us.
whatever the silly notes we were singing, then suddenly feel like they have the support of a full swell of like, oh, he meant to do that transition
Look
in
how
tone.
smart he is.
Sort of a Sondheim meets Les Mis with the touch of like All Quiet on the Western Front.
I feel like we need to figure out another musical to do so everybody can get in on that, because I'm sure Eugene would also have been a great added voice in that musical.
You just needed like me being the man that Keith left you for. And Zach is the human dog.
Zach would be the dog.
Yeah. No,
Full circle.
That's so funny because I think that besides college applications, waiting for the cast list for a High School Musical was the most important thing in my life.
And in college, I had the same, because I was a theater major, so the college was the same way. Oh my God.
Outside of pitching projects now, the wait and the reveal of roles for high school plays and shows, I would have like literal, I think, panic attacks over it.
Yeah.
Just sitting and being like, and it is still the worst system. Like, why would you post it in the hallway for everyone to gather around and see?
And also, like, there's like 5 kids that get close to it, so the other like 10 kids like can't see it yet, and then you see somebody turn around and go, yes. What? And it's just like, and you're like, what could it be? And as they're turning away, you finally look. And I'm always like I was a pessimist in that situation. So I would stop like in the bottom. I would start in the bottom and work up and be like, I'm probably down here. Like, oh, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm not cast at all. Then you're like, oh, God, the scarecrow.
My favorite was always, everyone has their Rachel Berry in their musical theater department. If you watch Glee, the girl who always just walked up and she knew she got one of the leads. And I just remember in my high school, I was always involved in all the theater and choir shows, but the senior year was a scandal because she didn't get the lead. And also her parents were one of the wealthier people in town who helped fund some of the school stuff because we didn't have very much money for the arts. So when she turned around, I was like, she's about to fucking kill us. Like, she's pissed.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But that was such a special time when you're in high school and you're waiting for you just, the most important thing is doing these musicals. And I think that's just, you can't really replicate that. Because once you go to college, like now this is coming full circle because we talked about what were the professions you would have done if you weren't in entertainment, right?
Yes, yeah.
And one interesting fact about me was I never did film prior to graduating because we didn't have that in my area. So I was like choir theater kid all the way, choir theater band, all that shit. So I was going to do musical theater in New York.
Wait, what instrument did you play?
I was an oboist.
Oboe.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh.
I played the oboe for 4 years. But that was more middle school through beginning of high school because I didn't want to do marching band. I was like, fuck waking up at 4 a.m.
I get that.
And in Texas, you're like, I don't want to be around football games
It's a
every
real thing
single day.
in Texas. It's one of those.
So-
it's like same with Tennessee.
Yeah, I was like theater and choir every single day, but I was going to go to NYU for theater. And then I gone to USC for film, and it was my mom. My mom literally looked at me in the eye and said, "Well, I guess I'll see you in every Miss Saigon production."
Whoa. Yeah.
She was like, "There's no roles for Asian people." She
Yeah,
kind of like said that. That
wow.
was her major thing. Hamilton hadn't happened yet. We hadn't had
Right.
the moment where it was like, I can be anything. But yeah, that was what I was going to do besides film, was pursue theater. But I'm really glad I didn't, just because that's a tough life in New York.
Oh my god,
It's tough. I mean, I majored in it, and I obviously I did adjacent to it. You know, I did improv and did that professionally for a couple of years, just like Ned did. A lot of improv in Chicago. But
tough to make a living.
It's and also just like theater. I in college, like I did theater in college, so I still had the cast list gets posted situation, except they would do auditions at the beginning of the semester for all of that semester's productions. So you would go in, and you not only would you see what you got, you would just see what play you were even in, because there would be like 5 productions. And then you'd see like if you got in any of them, and if you got in like one, you like could turn it down. They really didn't like it when you did that. But you could in theory, and then you could maybe be in a lower production, because they would do like the main stage and second stage at the same time. And then they would do like the MFAs, which are like the Master of Fine Arts directing projects, and there's something else. And there was like a tier of how many you could be in. But I never got cast well in any production at college. So I was like, okay, either I'm a terrible actor, which may be true, or I'm just a really bad auditioner, which felt how it was. I was a terrible auditioner. The whole like setup of going in, and you had to audition in the theater. You go into the theater to an
That's
empty
nerve-wracking.
theater, and they would be 10 people at the very back of the theater, so you couldn't see them. So you have to perform for people in the back row of an empty room.
Yeah.
And it was just, there was so much like tension about it. You were kept in a long line in the hall for forever, and you would be there for like 2 hours because they'd get behind, and then you'd have to go in and do your monologue, and you're kind of hearing everybody else do their monologue, and you're rooting for each other, but you're also like, but don't you fucking beat me. And it's just such a terrible, tense situation that after I was out of college, I like never auditioned for anything again. I'm like, well, I don't want to be in plays. It was too intense. I'm just going to do improv and make my own content.
Yeah, there was some of that in my college, but the cool thing is there were so many like extracurricular productions that after, I did some of the bigger productions, but half of what I ended up doing was just sort of having an idea for a production, getting together with a couple of friends or kind of like high-level collaborators, and it's like, okay, let's do this. Like, and it was kind of more learning how to be a producer, and then you would be an actor in one role or another, because you were kind of that was the point of it. But like that level of there were some cast lists, but so much more it was let's just like, we want to make this play. Yeah. We'll apply for a grant, get like a couple $1,000, which is so much for props when you're in college. You're like, what? I just got $5,000 to spend on props and costumes.
That's pretty good.
It's extreme. Yeah. And then the one thing that was a funny way to get cast was for like improv groups or I mean, acapella groups were even worse, and I won't talk about that. But the improv groups, you would audition as a freshman, and then when you were in the group, you were in that group for like all 4 years.
Yeah.
Some sophomores would get in, but it's like mostly it's sort of like, ooh, I think I want to do this. I'm gonna do it as a freshman, and then it's like that's like part of your identity. That's your thing.
You're the
rather
improv
than posting a cast list for that, the way it happens is after the final night of auditions, the older people in the group go and deliberate, and they pick who they want, and they pick alternates, and you just like stay up really late at night, because it is known that is going to be what they call tap night, where if you like get tapped on the shoulder and say, hey, you're in the group. But what actually ends up happening is at 3 a.m., a group of people wearing brightly colored t-shirts slams on your door, says like, hey, do you want to join the improv group? And then you're like, yes. Then you get whisked on, a wild initiation.
Oh, wow. You guys did it in that moment. You just initiated, like you just immediately took them and did something to them.
Yes.
Wow. We just called them.
We do the same thing where, I mean, improv is such a cult. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure my experience is very similar to yours, where we'd like took it so seriously. We'd sit there with our little notebooks and we're like taking notes, being like, this person said this, that was funny. What, like, maybe they're the funniest one. And then like we'd drive to their dorm or whatever, pick them up and like blindfold them, put them in the back of the car, be like, you don't know where you're going, and then we'd like have something and then hand them a beer.
Then we punch him in the face.
Then we fucking hit him, yeah.
No,
It's silly, but it does build a sense of community.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
my life in college for sure.
I did my spring cleaning recently and found my audition notebook where I wrote things about people and the scene
wow.
work they were doing. And it's like some of it's just like actual things, like just one-liners that I liked, and some of them like, this guy's terrible. How long am I gonna have to watch this guy do this terrible scene?
I remember
oh my
thinking,
god,
the notes are so bad where it's like green shirt, funny voice.
yes.
What is that? If you don't remember what that person did, how's that going to help you?
Or just
Yeah.
like, oh boy, he's playing a grandpa. Just like really condescending, because you're like, once you're in that position of being the auditioner, you're like, now I have ultimate power. And also like I got in as a freshman in mine too, so once I was a sophomore and I got to judge, then you're also judging the sophomores and juniors and very occasionally seniors who are still auditioning for the group. And now it's for the first time in college, you've had the power hierarchy like switch. I'm like, oh, aha, you want to be in my performance ensemble, do you? Well, make a funny joke.
Yeah.
Well, I have a funny theory about. It's interesting because I think improv and acapella are the two most hardcore sort of arts-oriented clubs in college that suddenly become
Improv
like
is just theatrical acapella.
they turn into like the varsity jock
They're like
stereotype from high school movies.
Pseudo frats.
Yeah. So I think my theory is that, athletics and academics in high school, unless you went to an arts magnet, it's kind of like a free-for-all, right? So you have clearly very talented young kids, but you also have people who are just there, who just want to be in it. And you're always like, okay, yeah, you can be, the dog in Peter Pan or the tree. But then you go to college and you're surrounded by, for the first time, lots of people who are focused and serious. It's all the people who got at the top of the cast
Everyone
list.
who was the lead in their high school musical is now in college with you.
And and I feel like outside of the school ordained productions, you have a cappella and improv groups, and those are the two student runs ones where they can just be brutal about. Like, I don't talk about this because it opens up a can of worms, but I did do a cappella in college.
Hell yes.
And
No way.
I did.
I never talked about this.
Yeah, I was bored.
Shut up.
Oh my
I'm not going to talk about it.
This is huge.
Real.
Well,
You
'cause-
did a cappella. This is huge. Why have you not talked
It's
about
'cause it's not
this?
necessary.
But it's so funny.
It's funny. Yeah, I wasn't an improv guy.
But I would, even if I was embarrassed about it, I would love to like make fun of my past self, because there's just so many like very specific things that a cappella groups do.
Well, I
Were you
actually didn't audition. The group asked me to join because they knew, one of them knew of me from someone else. And, I did choir for like 7 years when I was a kid. So they were like, oh, this guy, he can sing and also he can choreograph, because I had choreography skills. So the USC a cappella scene, probably like your schools, was very competitive. Like, they have a cappella groups that went on to like NBC shows and stuff like that. So it was brutal because they were, I quit after a year because I was like, people are too mean to each other. Like, it was not, I already had to deal with my film major. So being in a cappella groups was just way more stressful than I anticipated. Like, I didn't want to go to college to join a frat, and it kind of ended
Did
up
you
being,
sing I Saw the Sign? Are you sure?
No.
That's a classic one.
Thank God. No, but another group did. Another
What
group.
was the
there
most like classic song that was part of your repertoire?
the one I liked was Under Pressure. That was one.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
And of course, with a quick Vanilla
yeah.
Ice rap break. That's like
Yeah.
classic
boy.
acapella.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, we're gonna brush over this because I'm just like
No, we gotta dive
So
in.
this is
No, no,
what
no.
Did you ever do
acapella
a
professionally.
like a competition?
Yeah, professionally.
No. It was just because they're like, Eugene has a singing background. Let's put him in the group. And I was like,
Eugene, there's no reason to be ashamed of it. It is just fodder for hilarity.
We'll do a video one
It's
day,
actually one of the most requested videos
Yeah.
we have that we haven't done would be acapella and just more music in general. We've done very little music. We have a lot of music ideas, but
musical theater we could definitely do once Broadway reopens, because the best would be trying to do something with an actual cast, an actual thing in New York.
Yeah.
And then acapella, we always have the option of hitting up Pentatonic, so I think we could collab with, which
unbelievable.
Would be fun. Yeah, they're great people. But what about what's the profession you guys were considering before, if you were not to do anything artistic? Like, what was that? I mean, Ned's, yours is pretty obvious, right?
But what if you weren't a chemist?
Yeah, I mean, I literally had a prior profession of being a scientist.
Yeah, but what if you weren't a scientist?
Yeah. What if I weren't that?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, I mean,
Just blew his mind.
Ned's life just flashed before his eyes.
No, I mean, there's like a related. I was looking into going to business school to do green energy consulting, where you're sort of in the more business aspects of a scientific or industrial field. But if I were totally not doing anything related to green energy, I mean, I went through like an early astronaut phase, but then I also went through a late astronaut phase where it's like I'm like 14 and I'm like seriously charting out how I might, structure my career so that I could work at NASA Jet Propulsion Lab.
Oh,
or
wow.
SpaceX wasn't really a thing back then, but that would be a cool place to work. Literally be a rocket scientist or astronaut. I realized that I could either be a fighter pilot or a scientist that studied something that had to be in outer space.
I think you'd also probably do what I might have done, which is be like a mechanical engineer. You might have been, I guess, a chemical engineer would be a very close second to being a chemist. But I think with my what I was doing as a kid, where I would just build stuff, I think I'd be a mechanical engineer for something that's fun. Like designing pinball machines. I would still want it to be like something you engage with and it brings you like laughter and joy, but I could see myself being a builder just because I was very interested in like creating things as a kid.
Oh yeah, I went to I got into Cornell for engineering. As many of the schools I applied to were engineering schools because I built robots in high school. I was part of a robotics club, and I thought that mechy was what
you could have grown up to be a supervillain, Ned. You could have been a supervillain. You could have been a rocket scientist who builds robots, and then you put those robots in your rockets and you attack the world.
I mean, I think a lot of jobs, when you explain them very high level, are quite cool, and then maybe when you're in the day to day can be kind of tough. Like the 30-second version of my job at the chem lab is like so cool. It's like, we took renewable energy sources like animal fats or vegetable oils and turned them into diesel fuel through like chemical catalysis. In practice, that's me hauling around
a truck full
liquids,
of oil,
monitoring scopes and measuring out things and making sure that whatever was processing according to plan. So, I mean, but then again, there are parts of our job, even right now, that are not that glamorous. So I think it's just all jobs have some not so glamorous parts. And you got to remind yourself what the bigger picture is to.
Well, I had a dream that many children had when they wanted to grow up. I wanted to be, for a while, a marine fucking biologist.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Dolphin.
Yes.
Let me tell you, as an animal lover for life, I think as a very little kid, I was like paleontologist. Fuck yeah, bones, right? Then I moved into like a vet phase where I was like pets. Fuck yeah. But then I was like, no, that's too local, right? I want to be like international. So I just went, of course, marine biology, because the ocean is so unexplored and there's so much we need to do with the environment. And I got very angry as a kid about environmental issues. So this is a suppressed memory, but I remember as my parents were also weighing out like, Eugene's going to go to like film or theater school. I applied after my junior year of high school to two conservation summer internships in Madagascar and the Galapagos. And I got into both. And then my mom went up to me and handed me a film camp submission. She said, "You're not going to one of those islands." She was like, you're going somewhere like in the States. I'm not letting you go like to fucking Madagascar to save sea turtles.
That would have been so cool.
It would have been cool, but she was like, "No, you're not doing that. I know you want to go to film school, so we'll offer you film camp."
That's a great.
Yeah, it was pricey.
Actually, there's a lesson here. This is a really good tactic, which is if there's something you really want to do and your parents are like, I don't know about that, pick something horrifying to them as your new passion. And then they'll be like, you know
crazy,
what?
yeah.
Maybe
True,
film
that's
school is a
true.
good idea. It's like, you know what? I've decided I'm actually going to go
I think that was-
explore the ocean on a yacht. I'm just going to work as a ship boy. I'll be gone for 8 months. And they're like, nah, how about?
I feel like that was definitely part of the reverse psychology because I didn't tell them I was applying until I got in. And then I was like, yo, this is like a prestigious thing and I'm going to go to the Galapagos for 6 months. And they said, no, you're going to film camp. So I knew that in Madagascar, it was specifically saving sea turtles.
I mean,
and I was
yeah.
like, fuck yeah. And then whatever the one in the Galapagos was, I knew that I could swim with the iguanas. And I was like, double fuck yeah. So I was
cool.
pumped. But I think I also probably did it just because I also really wanted to
smart.
go to film camp.
I did a North Watch internship, and a lot of them are kind of like that, where it's like swimming with the sea turtles. But mine was astrophysics and looking at the stars in Los Alamos, New Mexico, at the Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Wow. Yeah, all my camps were just going to concert band camps where I would just like for a weekend or a week play with a bunch of other kids from Tennessee who just fucking loved playing music, and I went to the Southeast Chamber Music Institute and like the East Tennessee like this song place, just so much music. So like I would go to 2 to 3 music camps a summer, not including my own like marching band camp. So like all summer was just music. And it was great. It was super fun and a great way to meet other kids and have, little week-long romantic relationships with someone else.
I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Don't kiss and tell,
I remember
but do kiss and tell.
What'd you guess?
The one like little relationship I remember having it didn't ever happen, but it was like we had this very nice flirtation, and it was because this girl was like super tall, and I think there was a uniqueness in me of like never meeting a really tall girl, and her also being like a tall guy who was maybe like interested in her, but she played contra bassoon. It's basically a huge fucking bass bassoon. Just the goofiest looking instrument and you actually have to be tall to play it. Because if you don't, you have to sit on like pillows. Wow. Because the way it's like a contrabass bassoon or it's something like that, or a Barry bassoon, they're huge.
Yeah, they're
just huge.
Contrabassoons,
huge ass goofy instruments, and she played it. And I was also just drawn to like, what an instrument! How do you play that beast? And then we had all this flirtation over this like weekend, like this chamber music weekend. And then when it got to the concert, her boyfriend showed up to watch her in the concert. And we had to like pretend, but like there was like a spark, we saw each other, even as she was like saying hi to her boyfriend. She like looked over at me because she saw me seeing her with her boyfriend. And she also was like, she knew we'd had this little courtship of sorts. So I could see a little bit of her being like, wow, a little heartbroken because she also was interested in me, but it couldn't happen. It couldn't come true.
I had a tweet from about 2 years ago, a poll where I said that I felt strongly that there are 4 main houses that kids interested in science nerd out the most over. And I asked which people belong to between dinosaurs, robots, the ocean, and outer space. Do you know which one got first place out of 34,000 votes?
Yeah.
Space. But if you want to go to space, you really need an expert. A group of experts, a team of experts with tons of education and experience to help you get to space. We don't have that. So here's some advice from Miles. Advice will go from Miles. With Miles. See, this is why I don't tee it up. Here we go.
Oh, it's the original. I was wondering if
to your radio station. It's advice that'll go 4 miles. Everyone get ready, Miles Nation.
Oh, he's doing
Miles Nation. It's advice that'll go 4 miles. Woo! Advice that'll I'll go 4 miles. What's up, Miles Nation? How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, yeah. Hot. Woo. Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Have you ever wanted to be soaked?
Depends on what context.
Have you ever wanted to bang
Oh, boy.
in a hospital?
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Easy.
Let's see where he's going.
I see a person and they're oily. I see a slippery little anchovy.
Is that a cheerleader thing? Cheerleader for a minute?
Do you want
Cheerleader
to
adjacent.
sit in a hole?
Starting over.
Depends on the context.
Watch Grey's Anatomy in the turb.
Oh, in the tub?
Watch
all
Grey's
right.
Anatomy
I'm
in the turb. I spy with my little eye a show called Grey's Anatomy. It has 16 seasons. It has 24 episodes per season. Each episode is an hour long. It has days of television about sexy, schemy doctors that are hotter and better than you, and they die and you cry in the turb.
Why? Okay, so what day did you do this? Because normally this is something you did a couple days ago.
16 days of television.
I've been taking a bath a day during quarantine. I find that it is an excellent use of time because it's an hour long and we have the time. And also, it motivates me to exercise because then I know I'm going to get stinky and I deserve a bath.
You bathed for an hour?
Well, because I'm watching Grey's in the turb, it's about 45 minutes an episode. So
You must be so dehydrated when you get...
I am.
Yeah, you must be so pruny.
I get out so thirsty. We have an iPad in the house. I put it on a little tripod and I leave it right outside of the turb.
Right, so you're watching Grey's Anatomy on an iPad that is mounted on a tripod.
In the turb.
So it kind of looks like an easel
Yeah.
or like a conductor's stand.
Well, yeah.
But it's showing you Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
That's such a funny image.
Sometimes I do
Why
something.
don't you just rest it on
Sometimes I do
literally
something-
anything else?
Well, because I have a little holster for the iPad that I put onto the tripod.
Yes.
But
Yeah, if
sometimes
you gotta
I
flaunt it.
sometimes I do something that's a little naughty. I plug in the iPad next to the turb.
Oh, that's not
that's
good
a little
advice.
naughty.
That's
I
bad.
know, but I really
Don't do
am.
that.
I'm very careful.
This is not part of the
I already
advice.
taught the listeners to do flamethrowers. Let's not also have
Okay,
them
yeah,
electrocute
don't
themselves.
do that part. But what I like about Grey's Anatomy in the turb is if I'm like, I know that I get to take a bath and watch Grey's for 45, then that'll motivate me to get on the exercise bike for 30. So
I see.
I'm burning an hour and a half. And here's another tip. On the exercise bike, I'm
Watch Grey's Anatomy.
taking the tripod and I'm putting it next to the Burke and I'm biking, and sometimes I'll knock out 2 episodes a day because I'm doing one on the bike and one in the turb. One in the turb. So I'm feeling frosty, I'm feeling fly, and I'm feeling good. Grey's Anatomy is an amazing show. It makes me weep. It makes me moan.
Because they're
boy.
so hot. They're such hot doctors.
They're so sexy, and they also are very emotional. So it's a good show. I love it. And I'm on season 12. No spoilers.
Haven't you ever seen a murder mystery from the 40s of someone who listens to the radio next to their tub?
Oh, and they get dead.
Someone pushes it in, you know. Don't you know that would be the stupidest way for you to go out? They'll be
I
like,
think
well,
that my girlfriend's ready to push the iPad into the turb and electrocute me.
wait.
So this
who's
isn't something that you guys share. This is like your thing. She's like, okay.
Yeah,
you
she's
have
opted. Well, we've all
400 hours worth of television to
Yeah.
watch by yourself. Good luck.
She doesn't like watching it because it gives her medical anxiety, and because it's about people with like rare conditions.
So I watched Grey's intermittently. Are you past the plane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy does this thing where there's a giant disaster every season that kills off primary
Huge
characters.
disaster,
It's
yeah.
incredible though. Every time I'm like, oh my God, an earthquake in Seattle? No way. And it
Well, it started with the episode
Game of Thrones could never.
It started with the episode where the bomb was in the body. Right? That's what
There's
they
a
called
bomb in a body.
there's a bomb in the body. Yeah, that was the one where they were like, I think this show is going to continually jump the shark, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with it because it's playing with my emotions.
Oh, yeah. It's the steamy drama 1-to-1 that you're going to want to watch out for. And also what's great about the show is it opens with the inner monologue from Ellen Pompeo. So if you're not sure what the theme of the episode is, don't worry. She's going to tell you.
I like it. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to subscribe to the TryPod. Rate us 5 stars to help other people discover the show. And check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/TryPod, youtube.com/TryGuys. Shop the store at tryguys.com. That also helps support our staff at Second Try, who are all still gainfully employed during this pandemic.
I can't shake the image of. Are we just brushing over Miles like laughing and crying in the tub with his tripod and iPad?
I want to be honest.
Hundreds of hours of Grey's Anatomy.
It feels very, very truthful and very, really what it seems great advice for this day and age now more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And the great part about being in the turb is if you cry because an episode is emotional, which I did the other day, you just wash your tears away.
All right. Until next time, Keith, hit us with the official TryPod theme song.
And I can't wait to sit at my table and sprinkle everything on into my shells and eat each taco as fast as I can so I can have another taco. That's the second verse.
Until next time, stay beautiful.
That was the worst advice, Miles, ever.